Welcome back, listeners, to the All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast, the day after Origin 1, mate, Dor. And look, it's fair to say that most Queenslanders probably to be quite depressed after last night's result. Nothing really went our way, but the most main positive, I guess, for us Queenslanders and fantasy players, Supercoach players, is that most players did get through the game unscathed, you would say.
Yeah. All Origin players look like they've got through the game all nice and clear. Look, there was some concern with Tino of a facial injury, but he is all good, and the Titans have come out today. They expect him to play.
Yep.
Latrell's in some doubt for the Rabbitohs with a minor knee issue, and then Moses pulled up with a bit of a tight calf, but the Eels are hopefully will play. So it looks like Latrell and Moses could be the ones that could get ruled out at this stage.
Yeah, a bit of a slight exclusive for those that are listening to the podcast. I ran into one of the Broncos trainers today at work, and he indicated that Payne Haas showed no indication of him not backing up. So there is a chance that he will back up this weekend.
Yeah, he came off with a couple of minutes to go, so that was good as a Broncos fan to see him come off, not play those last few minutes and potentially get injured.
Yeah, so all reports is that he's leading to backing up this weekend, which is great news.
Yeah, no, it's great news, Cord. I don't really want to talk about the fucking disgrace that I watched last night at State of Origin, just respectfully.
Well,
it was absolutely awful.
The New South Wales forwards, and fair play to them. Look, I thought they completely outplayed us. They dominated the middle. Our outside backs, other than Toya, who played an absolute... He held his own against Latrell last night. Answered probably all the critics of all the questions that was asked of him, and I thought he played quite well. Outside backs, other than that, Hammer, Val was probably one of his worst games of his career. Harry Grant, also one of his worst games of his career. The good news is that we go to Perth now and not New South Wales. If we go to New South Wales down 1, I'd be slightly concerned. But Perth, neutral ground, I'm sure we can bounce back eventually.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway was Toya. Toya was probably one of the bright spots from the Maroons. No bias either. I thought that he was really good, and Billy Slater said that as well in his post-game presser, said that Toya was one of the better players for the Maroons. I thought Nanai was really good as well.
Yeah, Nanai was solid.
But look, we're really struggling for go forward Queensland. I know as fantasy coaches, it's great to have Corey Horsburgh, who played for us last weekend, but I think he has to come into the Queensland side. Respectfully, I'm fucking sick of Ruben Cotter playing on the edge. Yeah, I just think we've got both Famur. He's a great Famur. Yeah, that's how they pronounce it. So I'm just counting on.
I actually do agree with you. The second row position is an 80-minute role, right?
Yeah.
That person has to be playing 80 minutes.
Yeah, I just think Cotter's a middle, put him in the middle, and Firma is a big, or Famur, however I don't know. I've heard people say Firma, and then last night they were saying Famur, so I've just sort of gone with that. But yeah, he plays. He's one of the informed second rowers of the comp. He plays 80 minutes every week. I just don't see why he doesn't start the game and do a job. Like, respectfully, he came on, he played 17 minutes. He had 4 runs. He looked pretty damaging. Only had 25 run meters. But, I'm not trying to single out blokes because I think as a whole, Queensland were really poor. But Fodawaker played 47 minutes and had, I think, 4 or 5 runs for 37 meters, which is just it's just not good enough.
No.
And you look at, I think we had 2 forwards over 100 meters, and that was Tino and Carrigan. And then you look at New South Wales, I think they had 5 forwards. They had Yo, Crichton, Haas, Barnett. So,
anyway,
we've really got to fix up the middle of the field come to game 2, Cord.
Yeah, I think the biggest question out of the Queensland team as well would be, is they stick with Cherry Evans or do they move him on for maybe a Tom Dearden? But I guess that's one for
I
the
reckon
coming weeks.
He'll play this series out, and then this might be his last.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to buy, hold, sell for round 13. A reminder to all fantasy coaches that is your starting 13 that counts this week for points. So your bench, again, does not count. You can loop. You can do all that jazz. Just your starting 13 is the main point scoring way for this week, just like last week with the buy. And look, for this buy, hold, sell, we have a whole lot of names in no particular order here. We're just going to rattle them off from top to
basically
bottom.
they're in positional. They're
Yeah.
positional.
All right,
So
perfect.
hookers were at the top. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with our first one, Apusai Coruscant. Now, look, Coruscant, I'm looking at his stats here, loves a missed tackle. Last week, he had a 2-try performance, or 2 weekends ago, 103 points in 80 minutes, 2 tries. Dor, why have you got him as a buy?
I just think
He's missed 43 tackles this year, sorry.
Yeah. Well, not as many as Kurt Capewell, but no. I just thought that game against Souths was unbelievable. He had 58 tackles, 2 tries. I know he missed 5, but look, 58 tackles, that's some feat. De Silva as well has dropped off the interchange bench, which I think is a big thing, is why I've got him here as a potential buy, Cord. Because, De Silva was on the bench lurking and he was potentially going to take minutes off Coruscant. I know he doesn't play round 15, but he does play round 18. So, look, if you don't want to get him this week, good matchup, I think, against the Cowboys as well. You could get him in, say, in round 16.
I think some of the luckiest owners this year are ones that have Jazz Tavanga. You've still got him as a buy. No Jake Tavoyevich this week. Your reasoning behind that, man?
Tavanga, he's just he's our guy, Cord. Wow.
Would you call him a buy though? I don't know.
Yes, I think so. With just with what's happening with Manly at the moment. Jakey Turbo's out again. The Tokiaho's out injured. Tommy Turbo, that is out injured as well. I just think Manly are really struggling in terms of their injuries and getting players on the park. And I think Tavanga, respectfully, over the last few weeks in this period where it's been very dry for Manly, has been one of their best, fluctuating between that hooker and middle role. He's definitely scores a lot better at that lock role. And I just think he's playing that well. It's a bit like the Aaron Clark situation where he's just playing that well. Look, 65 points on the weekend, 80 minutes, and he's got a break even of 8. So middle and hooker duel. Manly play all the major buy rounds as well, Cord, which is a big thing. As to reason why I've still got him here as a buy. And I think Mick was pretty keen on potentially we might have to get him in for the all-out team because we need middles and a hooker for round 15 because the Eels don't play. We've got Riley Smith. And then I think we've only got, one middle in Fanua Blake playing round 15. So all-out team needs some middles and a hooker. So, look, Tavanga, being great, Cord.
We've got Owen Krabby Patty here as a buy.
It's just
Starling only misses that 1 week.
Yeah, he's just here just so we can just say don't buy him.
Don't buy him.
I think people would be looking at him as a buy this week to get in. There's a few names here that we want to touch on because people are probably going to be buying him in this week. But Starling's only missing just this week with that suspension. Look, I think Paddy is going to have a great career, but he's not. He should score well this week. But unless you want he's not even going to be a red dot. You're better off just getting a 220-230K red dot rather than getting in Paddy.
Yeah.
So on to the next man.
This guy is definitely a buy, and I brought him up in the TLT podcast, Keon Kolomatangi. Look, really not much to be said here. Plays around 15. He's in that middle cover, so if Haas doesn't back up or a Terrell Mayer's pick for Origin, then definitely here's an option. I reckon he's way under his price. 680K, is he? 678K. Look, he's almost must-have territory for me.
Yeah, 678K. Good thing is as well, Cord, as you said, is that he is a middle, but he is also an edge in fantasy as well. So he's got that dual coverage. But for fantasy coaches, we want Keon playing in the middle.
Yeah, we do.
So if Keon can keep playing like he did last week, in that middle role, Cord, there is some serious numbers and some serious cash to be made, brother. Like you said, they play both the major buy rounds coming up. So 15 against the Dogs, 18 against Manly. Yeah, the biggest thing is, look, it's not the worst case scenario if he goes to edge, Cord, but we want fantasy coaches want him in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next guy, we don't have to touch on him long because everyone should have him. Dylan Lucas, throw him in your centers. Buy. The next guy, though, Morgan Smithies. Now, we had him last year for quite a while in our all-out team, Mr. Smithies. Do I think he's a buy? 517K off a good score last week with
back
60.
to back, I think good scores.
Yeah,
from
70
Smithies.
points. 70 points 2 weeks ago. Last week, 60. Goes through a lot of work. 40 tackles, 41 tackles, 2 tackle busts, 124 meters. Only the 4 missed tackles, which is hampered his score. Is he a buy? I'm not sure.
I think a lot of teams have a lot of middles Cord with Smithies. I think is what the best case scenario here is. I believe the Raiders don't play. The Raiders don't play in round 15.
Yeah.
But they do play in round 18. Now, I know a lot of people, and myself included, are very big on getting Corey Horsburgh in for the Maroons side. If that does eventuate for game 2, even though that the Raiders don't play, I think I'd be looking at potentially getting in Smithies. You could take a punt and go now and hope Horsburgh comes in for game 2. But yeah, look, he plays round 18, so the third major bye round will be the Raiders' second.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's definitely one to monitor.
Yeah. Well, this guy does play round 15. Hamish Stewart. We've touched on him in a few weeks' time beforehand. He doesn't really play the minutes, but his scores are quite impressive. 66 off 48 points a couple of weeks ago, 50 points, 51. So coming off 3 back-to-back 50-plus scores. 498K, probably a bit unders for Hamish Stewart, and could be a potential buy, another mid guy, though.
Yeah, definitely a solid option Cord. Like you said, 498 in the middle. Look, break even of 13 this week. The last couple of weeks since I think the biggest thing with this move or with this play here is that Toby Couchman is actually back this week. So
what happens there? Does he move around?
No, it's more just I don't know about his minutes if they stay the same, because it's sort of been like DeBellin goes into prop now, and then Stewart was playing lock, but now because Couchman's back, does then now Couchman go into the middle, and then DeBellin starts to eat into the minutes at lock. That is my only concern there, but I still think regardless he's going to get at least a couple of more price rises. It's just a bit risky in my opinion, but look, if you're willing to send it there, I reckon feel free to go ahead and send it with Hamish Stewart.
Happy to send it with this guy, Ewan Aiken, 70 points off with a try. Friend of the podcast with a try last week, 621K. Obviously a buy. The only issue with him is if there's an outside back injury, he then gets shafted into the centres, which is my main concern with buying Ewan Aiken.
Yeah, and I know a lot of fantasy coaches want him to have dual like Lucas and whatnot. But I believe he still needs to play one more game at centre. And I think the next one's round 14. So ideally it needs to happen this week. There needs to be some sort of
change.
Shuffle, and Aiken needs to get put at the centres. I don't know. Look, I really do like him on the edge. I think he's 100% a buy when he's playing on the edge. It's just the concern is there. They play both buy rounds. Break even's 23, so quite low. He should get around like 50 to 60 playing on the edge. I just think I'd rather probably go Keon just because he plays middle and edge.
Oh, God, yeah.
And also I think that he obviously not going to get shafted. If he gets shafted, it's just back to the edge where it's like not as bad of a shafting as going to the centres. So, yeah, a good option though regardless. Cord plays both the major buy rounds. If you need an edge, I think he's great op.
I presume this Harry Hassett is another one that's just don't buy.
This is one. This one's not as bad as the Paddy one Cord, Harrison Hassett. He made a good debut off the bench last week. Scored a try, 42 points, break even of 2. It's just I don't know the minute. He definitely will benefit through the origin period with the likes of Liam Martin, etc. But then you think about it, Penrith have also got like Sorensen's back this week, but Isaiah Papali'i's not back yet. Luke Garner's not back. But look, Hassett, he really gets through his work Cord. This is not as bad as Paddy, but I still wouldn't be buying Hassett, unfortunately, just with those players that are coming back for Penrith.
pretty easy ones here for buys. Jaden Campbell, Fletcher Sharp. Humphrey seems to be peaking at price again, so he could be a pretty good pickup in case you want someone for around 13 coming up.
Yeah, I think the Campbell is one that I think we're going to have to look to get in again soon. His break even is a bit high this week with 64, coming off a 49 against Canberra. They do have a tough matchup, pardon me, this week against the Storm. But look, the big thing with Campbell is I just really think he runs the side. The only negative is about with Campbell is he doesn't play 18. So he plays this upcoming bye round in round 15. But look, yeah, I don't know. I think if you really need a half, I think JC is a really good option.
Yeah, Humphrey. Oh, you're going.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say with the others, and then you can touch on it if it's all right, Cord. But yeah, no, Sharpedo, Fletcher Sharp, wow, he was terrific last week. 98 points. I think he had like 16 tackle busts. He was unbelievable at fullback, and it wouldn't be surprising if potentially if Newcastle don't go well this week that they could revert to old ways, Cord, and put Ponga in at 6 and get good old Sharpedo at the back because he's terrific at fullback, but he's still going to go well this week in the halves. He's done that throughout the whole season. I think it's just good to have, just like JC, a player that can play half and wing fullback. And then last one's Humphreys. Like you said, Cord, I don't think we really need to rush and get Humphreys this week. You'd probably be hoping for a good performance this week, and then you can get Humphreys in after this week and get him in for like the Raiders. And like we've touched on, Cord, the Souths play both of the major buy rounds are coming up, so that's a good thing for him.
You've also got Ezra Mam here as a buy, and maybe just like a wait and see.
This one's not like the don'ts, but I think this is one that, yeah, it is a wait and see with Ezra Mam. He was terrific in his return, but we've known in fantasy circles and Supercoach circles that Ezra Mam is a great on-field player, but when it comes to fantasy and Supercoach,
he's not there.
Yeah, it's just that the points just don't really come. So, look, he was outstanding 66 the other week, 2 weeks ago. I would just wait and see, Cord. If he comes out with another barnstormer, well, yeah, it might be Ezra's back end of the season. Get on board.
These three guys at the wing fullback position are all buys. Tedesco, Drinkwater, and Marky Mark. No real reason to touch on them other than buy them, really.
Yeah, I got Teddy in last week in my own personal team, 51 points. Can't really complain. Led depleted Roosters side.
Yeah, he did all right.
Yeah, the chickens last week. He led the chickens well to a lovely victory royale against the Sharks.
Victory royale.
Well, look, was not expected at all, brother. On to the next man. Look, Teddy's a great buy. He's not playing Origin. The Blues won. I don't think there's going to be any changes unless Edwards picks up an injury. So, yeah, Tedesco, great option. Drinkwater, they play all the major buy rounds as well. They do have a buy next week. So that is one slight issue with getting Tedesco in. You'd only get him this week, then he's off next week, and then he's back for that major buy round in 15. Then Drinkwater, Cord. The thing about Drinkwater is, I know he had a shocker. He had an absolute howler against Manly, but the thing is, they got the Tigers this week and the Cowboys. The Cowboys do not have another bye round until round 27, so the last round of the season. So they're playing straight, basically, to the rest of the season till the last round. And I think, yeah, Drinkwater, he's not going to play Origin unless there's multiple casualties or multiple injuries. So, yeah, he's a great option. And Marky Mark, our Marky Mark, Cord, he has just been absolutely terrific. I can't say more. What a stunning season he's had coming into the NRL this season. I've seen multiple articles saying that is he better than Suaalii already, than what or Suaalii, however you want to pronounce it, was in his time at the Roosters. So he certainly hit the ground running. As I said on this podcast a couple of times, I think he's a good chance for a Blues Smoky jersey next year if there's some changes or maybe an injury goes down. But yeah, look, 50 points. He plays all the buy round. Same with Tedesco, though. Issue there is that they don't play next week if you're going to get him in.
Yeah.
And do you want me to touch on the last man?
Yeah, touch on him.
Yeah, Josh Papali'i. Look, he was stunning. He benefited from the early HIA to Will Penasini in the first couple of minutes. And yeah, look, he was outstanding. I think this man is going to be a a regular first grader. Could even be picked up by the Perth Bears because Isaiah Yongi's been absolutely terrific. But look, if he goes down, Josh Papali'i is definitely coming straight in. 38 points. This is not a don't. It's just, I think, be wary because it's probably leaning from a be wary, wait and see to a don't because I just don't, with how Iongi's playing, I just don't see him coming in unless there's an injury there, Cord.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with you that he was probably getting shifted off to the Perth Bears or some other club. He's too good to be sitting on the bench.
Oh, 100% with what he's done thus, or in that first appearance. He's been good in New South Wales Cup. He was good for the Bulldogs like last year in New South Wales Cup as well. So, yeah, we will move on to the holds, brother. I think we can sort of just
we can
through
really rattle
ones.
these off. And I might start from the bottom up top if you want.
Yeah, I was just going to say we'll go through the hooker holds, and that was Blake Brayley and Wade Egan. I don't think they're too highly owned, but the reason you're holding on to these guys is that they both play the next bye round. If they're not going well or they're starting to trend in the wrong direction,
then you can get rid of
like like Wade Egan has, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks. I'd wait for Wade Egan till round 14, so not this week, after next week. If he's continuing to go down, get rid of him. But because the Warriors don't play round 15, but Blake Brayley, definitely hold on to him because he plays in that round 15 second major bye round. We move to the middles, Cord. Look, if Fanua Blake, look, he didn't have the best game last week. I know there's been photos going around of him in a sling, but that's just the Sharks just taking precautionary measures to basically make sure he is good to go. They've said he's going to be absolutely fine for round 14 next week. So, yeah, definitely hold on to him. He'll be back to his best. Horsburgh, definitely I think we just hold him until round 4. So we play him this week, next week, and then we'll see what happens. If he gets picked in Origin, Raiders don't play in round 15, I think it could be time to sell to a Keon Koloamatangi if you haven't picked him up, Cord.
Yeah.
And then the last man, look, if you've still got Hubner, he's starting at lock. So I just think, and they play both the next bye round. So just hold him. Halasima, look, with the Warriors and Origin and whatnot, I think Halasima you definitely hold on to at least for another couple of weeks. If he's not going good by that round 15 bye round, the Warriors aren't playing anyway. So you can get rid of him then. Same with his teammate Wade Egan, like discussed above. Nico Hines, same situation with Fanua Blake. Look, he got like a 45, I think it was, or something
he's always
last
a hold.
week. It wasn't horrible. He's an easy hold. Same with Metcalf. Metcalf's been pretty good this season. I think he got like 50 points, so it wasn't a horrible score from him. But I think some people will be like, oh, I might need to try and get a JC or someone like that in. But yeah, you definitely got to keep him in. These ones are a bit more of a debate. I think this is really up to personal preference, what you want to do here. Me personally, I'm with Purdue. I want to give him a couple of weeks at 6. I don't want to just sell him after one game at 6. So I'm thinking they've had the bye week off. He's going to be working in that combination there, or, coming back into that halves position sort of role, working on that throughout the last couple of weeks. And then I think he's going to start to eat, I reckon, to pick it up. He's getting his hands on the ball more often. If you think about it, in that game against Manly, there was a couple of passes there where it just, unfortunately, like, it didn't have the legs, or it was a bit too high, a bit too low. So look, if those passes start hitting the chest, there would have been definitely some points coming for Purdue. And look, he could move back to the centers where he was going great. Tamale, this one is up to you, really. I think he's a hold until that round 15. And then if you really need like a center or wing fullback for that round 15 second bye, then you can sell him after round 14. But I just think he's going well. He's probably, in my opinion, probably the rookie of the year at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if Marky Mark applies, but I'd be one of those two. I think they've been great. Toyers, I don't think... he might qualify, actually. He probably does. He's been good as well. But I think those two, Marky Mark and Tamale, have been terrific. And then Tommy Turbo. Now, this one is the one where there's discussion can happen. I don't mind if you sell Tommy Turbo, right? But if you've got him like last week and he's at 403K,
Who do you sell him to? Is the
yeah,
question.
who do you sell him to? And then the other thing is Manly play all the major buy rounds. It doesn't look like he's playing State of Origin. I just think I just think you've got to hold on to him. It doesn't look like it's a long-term injury. He's probably just missing this week. He'll be back next week. But if he misses next week as well, the good thing is that Manly play round 15, and they're saying he should definitely be back by round 15. So, look, he's only 403K. I think if you've held him like this whole time, then I'd be probably more inclined to sell Cord because it wasn't like you just picked him up last week.
No, 100%.
So that's our holds, Cord. And the sells, look, there's not really many sells, if I'm being brutally honest. I think the main one is if you still have Dylan Egan like we do, because we just wanted to save a trade. We only did one trade last week, so I wanted to save some trades, and we didn't really need to trade him out last week. He's not losing money. I'm making money, so we can just hold him there.
Yep.
Then we'll probably get rid of him this week. But I just feel like he is still in too many teams, and then Alamotti is the other one. He got dropped. So unfortunately for Alamotti, I don't know how he's in 5.3% of teams, Alamotti, and he's actually hasn't been that bad. It's just he's averaging 40 for the season, but I just think if he's getting dropped with the guys of like Casey McLean and
he must be doing something wrong.
Something's not right, or Ivan's just trying to chop and change until something clicks, and then they start going on a run. So, yeah, I don't really think, unless you've got any Cord, I think that is buy, hold, sell.
Yeah, my only sell that I'm thinking about selling this week is Brimson against the Storm.
Oh, the Brim. Yeah,
probably a bit of a high break even for me. So I reckon I'm going to ship him on to either a Drinky or Keon this week for me.
That is a really good shout, Cord. They don't play, like I said, the 15 buy round, the Titans either. They don't play till round 18.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to ship him on this week.
And I think the thing is as well with a Brimson owner's, Cord, is you want him at the back.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then you're thinking of it like it could happen. It could be a late change like it happened in Canberra. But I don't know, just he's still looking like in the halves. And if he doesn't score, his scores are not very good. And I imagine that a lot of those Melbourne players, especially the Queenslander ones that played in Origin last night, will not be happy with how Queensland performed. And I think the Titans could be in deep, deep trouble on the weekend. But yeah, that's a real good one, Cord. I didn't think of that. And I think that unfortunately it is not the fish of the week. It is the fishy sell of the week.
He's getting put off the line.
Yeah, he's off the line. He's being casted out for another big fish.
We caught him and then we looked at it and we're like, no.
Catch and release.
Catch and release. Yeah, that's it.
No. All right. Well, I think that's it, Cord. I think Tyrrell May, just quietly before we go, unless you want to give a pod captain like you have done the last couple of weeks.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, you think of that. Well, I think Tyrrell May is easily the best captaincy option. Didn't play Origin. Those players that are backing up from Origin, yes, they could go well, but there is a high chance that they could be taken off early and play less minutes this week. They should still go well, but again, there's a high chance of coming off early. So I just think May is a great option. Aaron Clark's another solid option. Keon, your man, Cord, if you want to, you might be saying him as a captain, but he's a good option too, I think. But yeah, I go Tyrrell May.
Look, I don't really have a pod captain this week. There's nothing really coming to my mind or to my eyes at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see Cleary going well. I know it's not pod, but I can see Cleary going like 80 plus.
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Okay. Well,
do what you will with that information.
Yes, exactly right. Look, Cord's got a good record thus far this season.
Have a good record.
If you don't blame it on him if Cleary doesn't have a good game. But
no.
Look, Cleary was the top scorer in State of Origin last night, and he couldn't kick the ball straight at all when it came to conversion. So New South Wales would have won by a lot more, and Cleary would have got a lot more fantasy points if he could kick the ball straight last night. But look, on that absolute bombshell, that is it. We will be back next week for round 14's buy, hold, and sell.
See ya.
See you later.